Have you felt like you're learning a new language as you discover more about the shift in consciousness? Well, here's some more plain, everyday spiritual language. Hey, it's Todd Nanner, and welcome to another video from LifeQuest Institute, where we share knowledge and strategies to guide you into the new earth. Here is a little background information for today's episode. Today's video is an introduction to higher vibrational frequency, or what has been coined as moving from the third dimension to the fourth dimension, with the fifth dimension following close behind. In our last video, we discussed how to maintain a 4D perspective in a 3D chaotic world. We learned there indeed is a bigger picture going on. As part of understanding the new shifts, we are beginning to realize lower vibrations, attitudes, and beliefs that are outdated and no longer work. As we say in all of our videos, there is work to be done in order to co-create the new earth. The operative word here is co-create, which requires leaders. We can all be leaders, and when required, we can be followers to support the leaders. Today, we are going to take a few steps further, digging a little deeper with some everyday life examples of how to shift and maintain our fourth dimension expressions. So let's jump right into it. Are you ready, Anna?
Yes, I am.
All right.
As ready as I can be.
Yes.
But I like this video because it gives concrete. And two people I've talked to, just locally, wasn't even online, that were like, wait, I need more concrete, like real world examples. So as we dig and drill down of recognizing the difference of being the human being versus the spiritual being, our human responses versus our spiritual responses, this is where we're going to vibrate higher.
Yes.
Okay, so we have
choice.
Choice. Well, yeah, it definitely is a choice on how you respond, how you react.
Right.
So it's kind of like taking a step back, and instead of lashing out, you kind of just calm down and go, okay, not that you would even say to yourself, what would I say in this moment? Maybe in the beginning you would, but if you take that step back, it will come.
Oh, yes.
An answer will come.
Absolutely.
So the human self, let's remember, vibrates lower, so that's ego-based, whereas the spiritual self, which vibrates higher, is from a heart and soul. So it's more heart and soul based.
Yes.
So there's the two differences. There's certainly a line down the middle. Okay. Separation and duality beliefs in the human side, and unified beliefs and feelings of oneness, coming together. Love is conditional on the human side, and then, of course, love is unconditional on the human side. We see a bigger picture, and of course, let's talk about where it doesn't work out. We're not doormats. This is not about being doormats, but there's still, someone can be just nasty and ugly, and you can still go for a win-win, and through an unconditional versus my way, highway kind of attitude. So those are a couple of examples already.
So then we have what? Victim mentality?
Yep.
And wholesome mentality? Yeah. What's a wholesome mentality?
Oh, the life, the mind, the body, and the spirit kind of coming together.
Holistic health. Extremely
Instead of the
important.
victim, poor me, why me, oh my. We're all here for a life lesson. So yes, you should have my poor me, oh my. Your strong souls. These are the lessons that you came to experience. So if we can kind of come from more of a wholesome, the mind, the body, and the spirit responses instead of the victim.
So then we got fact finding and scientific thinking compared to intuitive thinking. So the scientific thinking was kind of what I was explaining before. Remember with Charles Darwin? And where when you went to Sunday school or what have you, not that we're religious, we are actually spiritual, but when we started out, we went to Sunday school, and that's where they taught you about divine and the one creator and all that. Then you got into school and you started listening to Charles Darwin, or taught that, and that we came from monkeys.
Yeah.
Right. So that's scientific thinking.
Well,
in some sense.
And the human has a need. Many, I shall say, not everyone. I don't have to have that scientific last sentence or period at the end of the sentence of how life is, because I mean, just take our weatherman for example, they're never correct.
Correct. And it's always the new, it's the people that are exploring the fringes of reality, right? That's where all the new technology, new insights, right?
Well, I love science. It's just that when I hear it, my intuitive signs, clicks, flags will come in going, and so I ride more with my intuition, and I'm no scientist, so I don't have answers. I just kind of know what feels right for me.
Yeah, no, I was saying the fringe thinkers are not the scientists.
Oh,
They're almost
okay.
the rebels are out there. But that's how we move society
Forward.
along, because if we let the scientists, we'd be here forever just, trying to figure out stuff. Okay, so then we have emotional reactions and divine trust reactions.
So emotional, again, that very human instant reflex where we just kind of didn't remember our higher power thinking selves and trust there's a divine plan here. So it's kind of like that would be the reaction to take when you're more in the fourth and Werther's fifth too, to be able to come that way.
So when the Bible and Jesus and all, like I said, we're not religious, but just using this as an example, when Jesus walked the planet, that was the first source event in this reality. Divine source, use your words here.
Right.
This is the second source event, which is the shift in consciousness. Okay, then we have scarcity beliefs and we have abundance beliefs.
So that's pretty evident,
right?
or not. I love your language. Your scarcity. For
Scarcity.
me, for me, it's scarcity.
So right, and that's a good thing. We used to teach back was people would be like, "Oh, I want money," and I heard about The Secret, and I use visualizations to attract while I'm sitting in my chair, whatever, money. But open yourself up to more of that and go for abundance in everything that comes into your life. So instead of looking at money, which shuts down all the doors of abundance, focus on abundance, and that will open all the doors, including money.
Well, and maybe to take that a step further, I think on the human side, it's not even an effort. Abundance comes so much more naturally.
Well, if you're vibrating abundance, you're sending that tone, that vibration out into the universe, and that is what's going to come back to you, because source works in very abstract ways, and the abundance will come in many different ways, and all doors opened up.
So in the meantime, we got more of the scarcity because we got mortgages, we got we got bills, and so it just haunts us every day, every minute of the day of not having enough. But if we vibe on that other side, the spiritual side, the enough becomes enough. So, so there's a little bit of a better understanding of vibrating higher. But I want to give more concrete examples on how to apply more of a higher vibration. Again, still more differences. So one of the first things I wanted to talk about was don't think the worst. Whatever the situation, don't think the worst. It seems as human beings, we kind of gravitate towards the drama of it. And so we think the first worst things that could possibly happen. And so we see everything is perfect, even a world that seems to be falling down all around us as we are experiencing right now. These things are true. So, but we don't see it that way.
Right.
We see it, and perfect might be a little hard for some people to.
Right.
Is that what you're going to say?
No, but as you were saying that, when you said don't think the worst, you have that choice in that moment, in the beginning when everything starts to go wrong. And it's almost like you have two sets of dominoes, and this is the wrong way, and this is the right way, and you jump to conclusion, you hit that one, and it starts a chain reaction going that way, where you should just step back and go, do this one.
And it doesn't move, right?
Well, no, it knocks down the next domino.
Slowly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yes.
Okay. I want a slow version versus a kapow version. Okay. So this is the part where we have to have a little more faith, or a lot more faith and trust that there is a plan unfolding, and it's perfect.
If you can't see it, right?
And sometimes we can't. Sometimes we can't see it. We don't understand it. But sit back, let more information. Sometimes we don't have enough information to really get it. We don't have the capacity to understand to the degree that things are unfolding. Sometimes. It's not always. So change our paradigm and think the best thoughts first. If possible, always think the best thoughts first. The positive side, the best. I can't say it enough. The best thoughts first.
Right. It's always good to kind of write down an affirmation.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
and
very
helpful.
Carry it in your pocket, maybe on a card, so you can feel it in your left pocket or your right pocket. So when things start going bad, start saying your daily affirmation. That will start changing your vibration in the moment. Okay, so you also want to be careful of triggers that make you angry or upset. Therein lies the third dimension, life lesson for you to explore and overcome. Right? So triggers will repeat over and over and over until they are resolved. Okay, now I do have a birdcage analogy, but I won't go into that, but I will go into that at a later time. But because triggers, you're going to have sets of triggers, but then there's subsets of those triggers. So once you knock down a set of triggers, it will knock down the subset of triggers. You following that?
Yeah.
Right?
Tell us more though, because I know we talk a lot. So
right.
Is it appropriate to talk about the cage?
Well, beliefs. So beliefs is because really what you're trying to do is reconcile your beliefs to expand your awareness. And then think of a bird cage with a bunch of birds in it, right. And those are the beliefs, and you're trying to release the birds from the bird cage, and it's going to take you a while to get all the birds released. But over time, you will release all the birds, which will increase and expand your awareness fully.
Yeah,
right.
Definitely. And sometimes it's one at a time.
And triggers are a part of that because they are a belief. You might have a belief in you that you were brought up. What's a good example? Where something sets you off and it triggers you.
Well, brought up and/or it's attached to the life lesson. So let's say you're left
Correct.
out. If you're left out, you didn't get that phone call. You didn't, you feel like.
All right. Oh, I'm always left out. No one ever gets back to me. Right. Okay. So
that's a nice victim. And,
right.
And it starts at an early age. Just think of children in kindergarten. They see little pieces of paper being passed out to friends, and somebody's got one, they got one, and you're starting to understand the click thing that's happening.
Right.
And that's the cool click. And I didn't get an invitation.
Right. So you want to discover your sensitivities, and those will bring you to discovering your triggers. All right. Ask yourself, what makes me sensitive versus someone else? Friends, family, and your enemies are in your life to trigger your triggers and sensitivities for one reason, to heal. Because as you heal these and you move past them, remember, though, you're not getting rid of them because you can get past them now, 6 months later, pick it back up and have that trigger again. Same with beliefs. They almost work interchangeably. So you always got to keep, when you discover these triggers about yourself, these sensitivities, these beliefs, whatever you want to use your words here, it's really what you're doing is you're bringing the light of your consciousness onto these triggers, these beliefs, these sensitivities, and then you wake yourself up to the fact that that's been going on, and now you should be able to see it next time. You will get better and better and better, and that's what I'm trying to say here. It's practicing, and bringing the light of your consciousness.
Okay, so taking the example of being left out, how can we shift that? Because that could be attached to abandonment issues or just whatever that life lesson and how it's attached. So as that keeps coming up, now you're 10, now you're 14, now you're 24, and certain situations will pop up because it's not healed. Right. So to shift it into more of the higher vibration self that you're becoming, you could say, well, I guess it wasn't my turn.
Right.
I mean, that to soothe,
right?
How you're feeling about it. You'll catch up with that person later and do an event, a bike ride, going to the corner store. Who knows what the situation will allow, or you just don't even want to be friends with them because you were invited, because it's just a click that you're just not interested. Okay, so now we talked about personal triggers. Yeah. Oh, and let's talk a little bit more on the sensitivities as well, because not many have the same sensitivities as you do. Ours are personal to us.
Correct.
So it's a sensitive word, sensitivities, but look at what they are so that you're aware on how that's something that you trigger. And what's really cool, I'll use my paper for once, we can draw a line down the middle. My paper's upside down, of course. And on the one side, say here, what was the trigger, right? And then, of course, solutions over here, so that you have what I call a back pocket comment on how to reframe the whole situation and to respond in a whole different kind of a way. So,
all right, so beware of triggering others.
That is true.
Okay.
I mean, that's a hot button as well, because we're playing the game together. Okay. And a lot of times revenge plays a role. So you may have, again, to take a step back, especially when you have been triggered. And what about the energy that matches from the other person who is on the recipient end of that trigger?
Right.
So the energies we will notch up. It's a energy. It's just like and so the more spiritual response would be to kind of go
de-accelerate.
Yeah, and so what does that look like? That looks like more like, well, I don't, they're kind of upset, and you're like, well, tell me more. I don't understand. But, and they're ready to go even more because they didn't get that you de-accelerated.
Right.
So then you have to might say something one more time so that they're like, oh, they really want to know. So tell me more. Yeah, no, I don't understand your perspective. Tell me more. And it's just like, oh, they really want to hear what I have to say.
Right.
So then now we get into real conversation. Okay, so energy matches energies. You will trigger back as you've been triggered. Again, that's a typical 3-dimensional revenge response. And 4D would be to recognize what's really going on. And we've talked about this in the video past, which is how to maintain a 4D perspective in a chaotic world, that it's not about you. It's just not about you. But that's a hard one to really believe, because when you're in the thick of it. So fourth dimension, okay, I'm getting confused with what I want to say. So, so we might come up with a win-win solution when we have a mutual understanding and the energies de-escalated, and which is likely to happen when both parties are being triggered.
Right. So no matter the altercation or the problem, ask yourself, what will I do to get along? We all want to belong, right? And we all want to feel accepted. Being able to think the best first and knowing what triggers you will make it easier to find ways to get along. Ask questions, seek to understand, seek to understand first before, then to be understood. I think that was Dale Carnegie, right?
A lot of people.
Right. So you want to seek to understand first, then you want to come up with a solution and make that solution a win-win. After you've done your best and that doesn't work out, then you just walk away gently. It matters not. Put them on your head. Don't let that go through your whole day and the next day. Some people sit for days and that just simmers.
Well, what's interesting about that is by walking away gently, you can kind of smirk up at the good Lord and just know that it's coming back at you. Yeah. It's not something that's been healed, and it's an amazing thing on how life like magnets will put two of you back together in just very odd situations.
Right, that's the nature of our reality, right? So never take anything personally. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, that's true, because it's coming back at you. Stuff happens all of the time, and it's easy to think the worst, but consider if something bigger is going on. Or are you in the middle of a life lesson to grow from and transform? And then there's the part about sometimes we're the example of, or the impetus to be in the situation to provide a life lesson for something that they need to grow and transform for. So that's a hard one, because usually we're like, okay, for me, I know I look at myself first, like how does this pertain to me? What is it I need to get from this particular situation? So it's hard for me to go, I don't think that's my life lessons, but I'm happy to help this other person through it. So let's sum up a little bit. Okay. Life is definitely chaotic. It's definitely some plan going on that we don't understand the bigger picture, except for the biggest picture, which is there is a shift in consciousness happening, and but the trying times is what's confusing. But I want to kind of maybe say, is it really trying or is it exciting?
Exciting.
Exciting.
Yes. Perspective.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yes.
Okay, either way, if we keep our minds focused, we can maintain the fourth dimension perspective in a very chaotic world. So,
all right, so practicing the tips in this video, don't be surprised to recognize how you are now straddling the fourth dimension to the fifth dimension. Long gone is the third dimension.
Bye-bye.
Right.
Bye-bye.
So excellent show, Anna. All things to think about.
Yeah.
All right, so if you're seeing this video and you're not part of our private Facebook group, then you should check out the tribe. We have over 26,000 plus awakened individuals getting together and growing themselves over in our Facebook Awaken to the Shift group. We encourage you to connect with many like-minded individuals. Chances are many of your friends and family could use some direction on how to cope with the life changes they are experiencing too. So be sure to share our video with them. If you find this video to be valuable, we recommend you go see our last video on how to maintain a 4D perspective in a 3D chaotic world. Anna, any last words?
Yes, always. Create a great day.